there are a lot of emotions which are energy giving.
Yeah.
Yeah, like even when you look into this Hawkins vibrational chart, there are emotions like guilt, shame, anger, all those are low vibrational emotions, and there are high vibrational emotions like peace, joy, love, forgiveness, gratitude. All those are in the high end of the emotions. The reflections that you make, and accepting yourself, and embracing not just yourself, everybody else around you as they are, and forgiving and letting things go. Lot of things, I think when we even when we approach through nature, it is nature plus inner work. That's a must do combination, nature plus inner work, and that is what leads to growth.
We have to over explain ourselves that this is what I intend to do. That is what is draining you. In NLP, they have a term. Perception is projection, which means whatever their perception is how they project on us. So they think in certain way, and that's how they project it on us.
Looking at plants and flowers actually helped me a lot in that realization, because this
Mm.
beautiful rose which we are seeing here didn't bloom in
Yeah.
one day.
Mm.
It started in the dirt as a seed, and then had to push through all the dirt, and sprout out and grow into a plant, and then bloom one day. And I'm sure we will bloom one day. I think we are already
Yeah.
budding and blooming. Yeah. But to bloom even more. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to Wellbeing in Me podcast. And it's the Inner Talk series with Indu and I, where we are talking about various concepts. For today's episode, we are talking about energy drains in our lives, such as overthinking, people pleasing, and in general, emotional suppression. Those are the topics that we are talking about, and we are sure that you will really enjoy this episode with us. Hi, Indu.
Hello,
How are
Meghna.
you?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm good. How
Right.
is your week so far?
Week has been great. Lot of learnings. Yeah, and it's good. It's good. Yeah.
Mm.
How about yours?
Mine has been a roller coaster, I would say.
Hmm.
Uh, Lots of action, and some reflections, deep reflections, and learnings. And yeah, it's weekend now, and I'm waiting to rest today.
Right, right. Okay. So yeah, the same. Like I reflected a lot. That's why I said it's kind of a learning curve for me as well. So is that something that has been from the past, or is it like happens, in the near current times? What were you reflecting on, if I may ask?
Uh, yeah, like I was just thinking, uh, I was just observing myself,
Hmm.
seeing how does the week flow, and what things make me feel excited and happy, and what makes me drained. So it was more observation of myself.
Right.
Yeah, and that revealed a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we have something quite in common here because I felt my energy was dipping down. And I was like, why is this happening? Like, because last week I was quite, bubbly and doing things, and this week was completely out of whack. And I was thinking about it, and I realized I've been overthinking, and that actually drained my energy. So, people, I think we as women, or I think in general, we all overthink, and we think we are analyzing, and we are preparing ourselves. But actually, it drains our energy quite a lot, and we don't realize that it's because of overthinking is what it's actually causing us the physical energy drop, and mentally we exhausted as well because we can't think of anything else, even if it's a daily routine. I couldn't like pay attention to what I'm doing. I kind of felt like a borderline zombie because I was
Mm,
like doing things, whatever it's in front, like there was not a mindful act,
mm,
like whether it's whether that's eating my regular food, or having that quality conversation with my son, or even for me to do what I have to do on a regular basis. I felt a bit off, because then I realized, why is this happening? Like, I could see the energy drop in me, and I'm not like really active. And that's when I realized, oh, I've been overthinking about something. And then when I looked into it, why this is actually causing us like this, because overthinking, because we've been told like you have to think a lot before you act on anything. And that's the lesson I had taken from my parents. And I'm like, okay, why is then it's not helping me? So what's wrong with me, and then when I looked into it, the science back information is like, I've got this here. So they say overthinking stimulates the prefrontal cortex, that's causing burnout. That was such an interesting fact. I'm like, okay, wow, that, so it's we think it's just an action, but it has so much of effect on our body. So has that anything of that your experience, Mina? Like, have you been overthinking, or how do you feel that in your body and in your behavior?
yeah, actually, it's what you were saying, like you were reading my mind. I'm like, what? Because I have also been overthinking, and
Yeah.
my natural tendency is overthinker. My
Mm.
one of my friends says, she was going to order a T-shirt for me, which was going to have words written as professional overthinker.
Right, right. And I think, okay, wow. I think you've got a combination of two things. Being perfectionist also burn out people, and people
Yeah.
think that and I've seen my colleague, like she's perfectionist in certain things, and she holds the pride being that person, being that
Mm,
perfectionist.
mm,
And whenever she talks, she's so exhausted because she's always trying to match to be that perfectionist person, to show up for others. And
yeah.
yeah, I could understand, like, wow, so you got two combinations. How are you actually managing it?
Hard. Not easy at all, because you have thought in this certain way until this age. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm close to 50 now. So until
Mm.
this age, you have been conditioned, and also you have been, it has become a habit for you. And I have been thinking like that for so long, so it is not easy to break. But then I think the key here is this awareness, that being conscious of how we are,
Yeah.
that actually helps a lot. Because I stop myself when I said, about observation, like how I have been observing myself more. It has been more like, oh, okay, I have thought about this deeply, I have made a decision, then why am I going back to it?
Mm.
Why should I think about it again? Is it going to resolve anything new? But then I
Mm.
didn't still find anything new. But the old me thinks that, um, maybe if I think more deeply again, I'll find some other solution.
Ah, right, right.
Yeah. Yeah,
Correct.
so
Yes.
yeah, that's how I keep going back to that old pattern. Then I catch myself and I'm like, no, I think there is nothing more new is going to come after this point. I should
Mm.
stop here. I have made a decision. Especially, I think that is where decision making helps.
Mm.
We think, when we think about decision making, we think big decisions like life decisions, like, or big decisions like whether we want to start a podcast and, start a business or get married or have children, like that. We sometimes we think decisions are only that, but it's not
Mm.
actually the case. Even the
Mm.
smallest things like this, where
Absolutely.
we are like making a decision. Yes, I have thought about this particular topic and I have come to a conclusion and I have made a decision and I'll roll with it. I won't be thinking any further. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. When you say about decision making, I I tell to myself, like, we need to start making micro decisions, like for the regular daily activities, like, because we are so indecisive in many things, and that's what it's reflecting on the major decisions. Because for me, decision making was not something that was allowed. Like, I always have to listen to someone.
Yeah.
That was draining as well, because constantly we are trying to meeting others expectations, and when you're not aligned with what they are saying and you're trying to meet their expectations in a way, like people pleasing. People are, they cultivate that, it's not their personality, but it's just that they have picked up that behavior just to, maintain some sort of peace, or not to get into conflict. And people pleasing is another big thing. So decision making is something that I had to learn after, say, I was 40. Even to change the utility provider was a major task, or not a task, like, was a major decision, like, should I be going for that? What will happen, like, what can actually happen? Nothing can go wrong, but because I haven't been doing any decisions on my own, or my decisions were not acknowledged, or it was not being, taken into account, I always felt like, oh, I'm not good enough to make any decisions. And for me to step into that and do that, it was like a major breakthrough for me. And
Mm,
that's where I actually realized, oh, I've been so long been doing the people pleasing, which
mm.
always I felt under the, the body is always in a rigid fashion, and you're not at ease with body and your mind, because you're constantly pleasing someone to avoid conflict, or you want to feel belonged. It can be any of those reasons. And yeah, people pleasing as well. I don't do any more people pleasing. Like, that's where I had to really cultivate the habit of expressing myself in a way that they understand why I cannot do, or what is my opinion, rather than please for the sake of, I don't want to hurt them, or I can't say this to them. So is that part of your experience, or yeah, how
I
is
was
it
going
like?
to jump in. I was going to jump in. Shall I throw one more thing into the mix now? We started with overthinking and then it led to decision making. And there from there we went on to people pleasing. And
Yeah.
that is the scenario I'm also facing into. Like,
Mm,
for example, recently, what has been happening is, um, people are rude.
mm,
People are being blunt or being harsh unnecessarily.
mm,
And and I'm not saying I'm not ready to take criticism. Yeah,
mm,
open for it, open for feedback, but how do you receive it? That
mm,
matters, right?
mm,
Yeah. So when people do this, and also knowing the science behind, living in a survival mode and rest
yeah,
and relax mode, your
yeah,
parasympathetic and sympathetic, where
yeah.
sympathetic is, I want to survive, I have to run from this tiger. That's the mode that we know. And then
Mm,
parasympathetic is rest and relax, my body is calm, my digestive system is working fine, all my systems in my body is working fine. That is how we differentiate. And knowing all this, I could still feel that when someone is rude to me in my face or saying to me, I have said something condescending to them, I'm like, what? I said something normally. So
mm,
when instances like this happen, you feel attacked.
Mm.
So, and when it is like a verbal attack, either they are rude or saying something which you didn't mean, or and I can also see how, why that other person said that,
Mm-hmm.
from their perspective I was able to see that. And then I explained clearly that is not how I meant. It was a normal open talk, nothing offensively meant. I clarified myself, but then it still felt like attack on me, because that person is saying, I am behaving in a certain way and I didn't even intend that, or I didn't,
Mm.
say anything like that. But it is,
Mm.
maybe they are sensitive, like we all have been through the sensitivity, and I'm also a sensitive person. So I can understand, and I'm like, okay, sorry if I have hurt you, like that, I have moved on. But then, but for people who are directly rude, that the other one was a different category. But then people who are directly rude, or saying something blunt and not taking a nice approach, it's more aggressive approach. I don't enjoy interacting with them.
Mm.
um, so that actually made me think hard, and then I had to set boundaries. And setting boundaries was not easy at all, because I'm pushing back and I'm setting boundaries, and it feels so negative, like you know um, it felt like energy draining for me,
Mm.
because setting boundaries is not something which comes easily. I
Naturally.
think it's a skill, you need practice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
And when you do that, I realized, because of this people pleasing quality in me, it is even more harder.
Mm. Mm.
uh,
So what I'm hearing from you is setting boundaries is energy draining for you.
yeah, because of people pleasing. Because even though I'm setting boundaries and pushing back, because they have behaved in a certain way, but because it is not familiar, it feels
Mm.
draining,
Can
even
I
though it shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be. Actually, setting boundaries will actually make you feel more, you know, being just you. Like, you know, it should actually make you feel calm and more confident. But the reason I believe you feel that way is because I have experienced that. When the scenario you've mentioned, like you had to explain it to them, that was not my intent, I didn't mean to say that. It happens because when we have to over explain ourselves that this is what I intend to do, that is what is draining you. That is where the energy drains, because I have experienced that, especially with someone who's in your close circle and you have to explain it to them like that was not my intention, or this is where I coming from, and they are not able to get that, and you over explain it to them like, you know, oh, because we want them to accept us, we don't want the
Mm.
conflict there, we don't want to feel that we don't belong to them anymore. And it's a combination of many things, but just not people pleasing. I think in your instance it's also because you have to explain it to them about yourself, like, hey, listen, this is not who you think, this is me, try to understand me as who I am. And I think that's where it's energy draining, and I have gone through that phase as well. And if I may have to add a bit more into this, I think people, yes, we don't have any say or control on how they behave or how they say things, and it's they perceive us. It's in NLP, they have a term, perception is projection, which means whatever their perception is how they project on us. So they think in certain way, and that's how they project it on us. So, and although we know this knowledge wise, to internalize and then for us to stay grounded at that particular scenario, it takes some practice. And I think one of that is the one that you've mentioned about first thing is awareness, like this is what I'm doing, and I'm getting tangled into people pleasing or over explaining, which means, again, the reason being people pleasing, it's not helping us because we are stressed, we feel stressed, like I don't have to please anyone. I mean, nobody has to please anyone in reality,
Anyone.
right? But we
Yeah.
do that it, and when we do out of our own will, the cortisol is being released in our body, which we don't know because we are more into the outward look, but inside this is all happening, right? Then
Yeah.
the body feels stressed, and that's why it's energy draining. So anything that we are doing out of our own accord, which means the body is going under the stress, and that is where we feel the energy drain and burnout and fatigue, chronic fatigue, all these things happens to us. And over explaining is one of the aspect. And I think initially when you started saying about awareness, self awareness, which is very important, and then the second thing, decision making, should I be continuing to do this, where do I put a stop? And then once you've made the decision, like having the boundaries, that is very important. And yeah, so I'm not disagreeing to what I say, but I think to add to it, like boundaries is not energy draining, Meena. It is a good thing that you've adapted to. But the only thing is the other things that we are over explaining and trying to make them understand our viewpoint, I think that is what actually drains our energy.
Yeah. Correct. But over explaining, isn't that also a category within this people pleasing? Because you are trying to not lose that relationship, or you are, trying to prove that you are in the not in the wrongdoing. I kind of felt like it was because of that people pleasing quality, maybe a little bit more than that, maybe also. Yeah, I was doing it, and but as you were saying, Indu, I actually arrived at that same conclusion, uh, that they are projecting their insecurities, their fears, their anxiety, their lack of their trauma or lack of communication, whatever it is, that is what they are projecting.
Yeah.
And and that is where, if I am pushing back and I am setting boundary, I shouldn't feel stressed. I shouldn't feel in what to say, feel drained about that,
Or guilt.
for guilt. Yeah, and don't feel bad about that. That took a lot of inner work, and that is where actually flower therapy and emotional regulation and understanding it is their projection helped me a lot.
Hmm.
So yeah, that was amazing. Yeah.
Really good, really good. Yeah,
Yeah.
as you rightly mentioned, it is all part, like, theory wise, we categorize, people pleasing, overthinking,
Yeah.
comparison, and emotional suppression. We can categorize it, but it is all
Yeah.
interlinked, right? It's one part
Interconnected.
of the other.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it all comes down, I think, if we take it into all of that, it is like not knowing our own self-worth and our values. It comes down, it narrows down to that
Mm.
aspect. Like, when you know your self-worth, when you know your values, we will align to it and not go against it. When we go against it, our body says, what? That's not who you are. It's actually screaming at us, but we are not
Not
that intuitive
listening.
to understand. Hey, cortisol is now releasing, and you are in the stress mode, and you are not realizing your worth, and all that. We don't realize it. We look for the external validation. That is another aspect of energy draining as well. People, like, even though they are doing really well at work,
Mm.
I've seen my colleagues, like, they do really well with their job, and they are like, oh, I'm doing so much, but I'm not being recognized, I'm not being rewarded. Like, they are seeking for that external validation, and it's a combination of two things, what I've seen in them, right? So they're also perfectionist, and so they pride being that person, like, I do it in certain way and I finish my things in certain way, so they pride it. And they also long for that external validation. So they are not able to let go of this nor let go of the other one. Like, okay, I'm doing well and I validate myself. That's all I need. I don't need any external validation. I mean, yes, in the workplace you will looking for that reward and recognition and things like that. But if they are not doing it, don't punish yourself. Like, don't punish yourself. I can
Yeah,
see the energy drop in their in the way of their talking. Like, how's the day? It's another day, and I feel
yeah,
sorry for,
yeah,
because you've got so much to do and you've got the caliber. Why
yeah.
wait for other person to say, hey, you're doing the
Say,
good job? Yes, it will add value, but if you know your self-worth and you know the value you're doing it, you don't have to. And yeah,
yeah,
that's my
yeah,
take.
yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Especially for women, I think we have this good girl conditioning.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we are like, oh, be a good girl, like that from childhood. You have been hearing that, and then you are like, you are still that child sometimes in inside, and you are
Mm,
like, oh, someone has to appreciate and say, especially when it does work. You are like, okay, someone has to recognize what you are doing, and because it affects your pay and
mm.
reputation. So we are. This good girl conditioning is strongly tied there. Yeah.
This episode of Wellbeing in Me is proudly brought to you by Mr. Thiruvengadam or Thiru Arumugam, a respected professional and community advocate who has dedicated his life to creating meaningful change. Over 16 years of experience in MES and ERP systems, Thiru serves as a business process expert at AstraZeneca Pharmaceuticals in New South Wales, where his leadership and innovation are widely admired. Since migrating to Australia in 2003 as a skilled professional, Thiru has built a career that reflects not only technical excellence but also a deep commitment to service, inclusivity, and community well being. As an active member of Australian Labor Party since 2006, Thiru currently serves as a senior vice president of the ALP Toongabbie branch. He has been a Justice of Peace in New South Wales since 2012, supporting individuals, families with fairness and integrity. Beyond his professional and civic contributions, Thiru's heart for community shines through his volunteer work. From organizing up Australia projects and blood donation drives to supporting new migrants and hosting Australia's biggest morning tea, where he helped raise over $4,000 for cancer research. As an ambassador of Australian Southeast Asian Network and vice president of Australian Tamil Chamber of Commerce, Thiru continues to strengthen multicultural and small business communities, building bridges of collaboration and empowerment. His unwavering commitment has earned him international recognition and a Local Citizen of the Year finalist nomination in 2022, which is a true reflection of his values, compassion, and leadership. Outside his professional and community life, Thiru enjoys coaching junior soccer, playing badminton, and spending cherished moments with his wife Viji and their children Parmita and Revant. At Wellbeing in Me, we are so honored to be supported by a sponsor who embodies our mission to nurture, balance, compassion, and emotional well being in everyday life. We thank Mr. Thiru Arumugam for his continued support and for being a true example of leadership through service, inspiring communities to grow stronger and together.
But what
So
was your reflection? Like you were saying, this week was, there were few learnings, and you were reflecting a lot. Was that on similar lines?
I was actually overthinking about what you said. Like, I was overthinking about the future, not about the past. I don't
Oh,
go to the past a lot these days because I think I've kind of worked it out, and that's how I, the Manasvi 5 hour framework, all created by that. And then I practice what I preach. So I don't go and look into the past emotions and reflect on that. But it was more about the current and the future, like how it's going to be and what am I doing, what I should be doing that I'm not doing, and things like that. But then over planning is good, but when you just sit on one thing and you're like, because when we are thinking to find an answer, what I've realized is the answer will not come immediately just because I'm thinking about it.
Mm.
I need to give some time for me to, to come around that. So, and I think that's what I had to work on that, and not expect immediate results. And that's where I went deep more into delayed gratification as well.
Ah, so you are looking for instant results.
Yes, yes, I understood. Like, I'm looking for immediate results. That everything takes its own pace of time, and I have to do what I have to do, and then
Yeah,
results will come. Like, I'm not saying we shouldn't act on not result oriented, but not expecting it immediately just because you've just started doing it.
yeah,
So
true, true. Actually, that is where, for me, looking at plants and flowers actually helped me a lot in that realization, because this
mm,
beautiful rose which we are seeing here didn't bloom in
yeah.
one day.
Mm,
It started in the dirt as a seed, and then have to push through all the dirt and sprout out and grow into a plant and then bloom one day. And I'm sure we will bloom one day. I think we are already
yeah.
budding and blooming. Yeah. But to bloom
Yeah,
even
I
more.
think yeah, so true what you said about the plants, Meena, and also I realized along with that aspect of like I'm looking for immediate gratification. I also understood like although we say and most of the time I don't really compare with anyone, like I don't compare anyone to anyone. I'm not saying 100%, but consciously, even unconsciously maybe I would have done that. But and as I was reflecting, I saw like, okay, I'm comparing with people who are already doing things, where I would want to be, they're already there, and I'm like comparing from
Hmm.
timeline is
Where you
different.
are and where you want to
Looking,
go.
yeah, and that's where I'm like, oh my goodness, I've been comparing, is it so? And
Yeah.
then I had to untangle myself from that aspect as well. Comparison again, it drains our energy,
Yeah.
and yeah, I mean, there are people who consciously do that, but unconsciously as well. So, and that's why we have to reflect on ourselves, which is very important. And in Manasvi 5 hour, that's the first step. Like you just got to sit in silence and reflect on what is happening, and acknowledge, okay, this is what is happening. Whether you don't have to shame yourself, feel guilt about it. Just name the emotions and reflect. Okay, this is what is going through, and you will understand how it's taking the path and where you are, the loopholes are, and then the next stage is how you can overcome that as in release phase. So
Hmm.
I think when I did on my own, I'm like, yes, this is so good. Like, I'm now I'm good because
So you are putting
I'm
yourself through the framework. Yeah.
absolutely. I
Yeah.
think everybody goes through that. Like, when you're talking about now, instantly you took the flower and you said, okay, this is blooming because you are into it. Like you breathe and you do the work based on what you really believe, right? So
Yeah.
I likewise I do with anything with Manasvi healing. I reflect and then I'll see what I can work through the framework, and if it has to be a story that I have to rewrite it, rewire it, I do all of that. And yeah, and so it's not like it taking months time, maybe a
Hmm.
day for me to come out of um, that
The
dark zone.
overthinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, has it been any of those like any other energy draining aspects in the sense of um, emotional suppressions or comparison, or and also I think for women, we do. I don't know whether you have. I have, as a kind of a masking, like we want to be hyper independence. Like I don't ask for help. Like I can do everything on my own. Like, just be the warrior of your life. And all these words in the modern society will think like, okay, this is how the empowered woman has to be, not showing
Mm,
our vulnerability or asking for help, or seeking guidance and things like that. And I have been in that phase as well. And Mina, you will not believe, I was like so drained out. Like I didn't realize that is what is draining back then. And then now I'm like, nah, I don't have to like keep the mask on. I just need to
mm.
be more authentic the way I am. And I think authenticity keeps me grounded, feel myself more, rather than being the other person where
Yeah,
I'm 100% all the time.
yeah, definitely. Like being yourself is more easy, right? Rather
Yeah.
than pretending to be someone else. Yeah,
But
100%.
it's
I
not
think we
easy
have.
for everyone, Meena.
Huh?
Being yourself is not easy for everyone, because we've been told that. I think that's where the conditioning comes, right? Yes, in reality, being ourselves is the more easier way, but we struggle to do that. Uh,
Maybe that is. See, so then what did you mean by authentic?
that's right. Authentic is being ourselves. But
Yeah.
how, my question is, how easy is it for everyone to be their authentic self? That's my
Ah,
question.
yeah, true, true. Agreed. Yeah, that is not easy because as a concept, yes, definitely it's easy because you don't need to work so hard to be someone else. You
Yeah.
just be who you are. But then because of the masks that we wear and, like strong warrior, and I'm like, I can do it all by myself and all of that, just even being vulnerable
Hmm.
and be open about, what you are going through and what you are facing. It's not easy. Yes, I agreed. And also, even for us, talking about this on a public platform is also not easy. Yeah, but I guess that's the inner talk we are doing here, right?
Absolutely, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's humanly possible for you to be right all the time, to be perfectionist all the time, to be like, independent all the time. Like, so accepting the fact that, we can go, vulnerable, and we can commit mistakes as well. The only thing is we need to learn through whatever the events have happened, and moving forward would be the way, rather than sitting with that, and and feeling stuck.
Mm,
Those are all the energy drainers, right?
correct.
So yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, there are more energy drainers than this.
Mm.
Even on a cellular level, like, see, we talked about so much about the emotions, and how our mindset and emotions contribute to, and our conditioning contribute to energy draining. But if you look at the energy as a wider aspect, there are more drains like lack of sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, lack of sleep is one, because if we are like constantly on the go trying to build things, and you are depriving your body still feels the same way internally, feels the cortisol, feels the tire fatigue, and yeah, so it's not just emotions. I think it's more than that. What do you think?
Yeah, I 100% agree. And then caregiving, like, um,
Mm,
you care so much for your family because you love them. You give so much, but it's hard for women to receive it.
mm,
And whenever, I don't know how it worked for you, but when someone is like, okay, do you want anything? I feel awkward. Like, why are they asking me this? Like, I always go and get what I want. Why are they asking me this? I wasn't able to receive it in the beginning of my growth journey. Like, I was like, why are they asking? What is the intent behind this? And I would go overthinking and, spiraling on that. And so receiving is not something we've been taught. So it's always giving, giving, giving. And that exhausts us emotionally, physically, mentally as well. And so that's one of the aspect I have found, that like, people who are, I think that's where the frontline workers and in the hospitality industry, they feel really drained out, professionally. I could understand the mental and physical exhaustion.
Yes, so true. Yeah, we give so much, but we don't receive, you know, that openly. And again, maybe that is also back to our conditioning.
So
Yeah, like even when we are talking about giving and receiving, um, just couple of days before, I did a flower therapy workshop for women
mm-hmm.
who have been through domestic violence, and they
Mm,
are supported by a charity organization. And I'm doing regular workshops for them, teaching them how to look at their trauma from the past,
mm,
and how can they regulate themselves. Don't allow their past to define their future, and
mm,
how they can build hope. And
mm,
all of that, I was sharing with them my own journey and what has happened and how I was able to overcome. And but what I realized was, it was not just like I was giving, actually I was receiving as well, from that collective group of women,
mm,
because we were all holding space for each other. It was like a beautiful healing circle. Though it was like I was the provider, but actually, it was both giving and receiving. And this lesson actually comes to me often, like makes me realize, makes me humbled to think we should be open for receiving. And when we are open for receiving, the universe sends you more things, more beautiful things your way to receive. Yeah, so that is how my experience has been. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful, Meena. That's so nice. And as you rightly mentioned, like, we should learn to receive, and universe gives us more of what we are receiving it. So, on that note, Meena, we I think we've spoken a lot about what energy drains us, or what is draining us emotionally, and the other aspects, right? What do you think it actually can build us energy? One way is, yeah, as you mentioned, like being humble or being grateful. um, what's in your opinion, how do you, like, get the energy?
For me, it is the flowers and the forest and nature.
Mm,
Because when you align to nature, something magical happens there.
mm,
It just shows you, even through how it is resilient and growing and not comparing with each other. And there are a lot of lessons to learn from nature.
mm,
And that can happen only when we are mindful and we have really slowed down.
yeah.
So, on the surface, it may look like, oh, how is nature going to help with my emotional regulation?
Mm,
It is just I'm admiring the beauty, I'm enjoying the nature. It is not the case. For me, it has really been deeply transformative. And for many other people with whom I am working, it is helping them a lot. Like even with the women group that I was mentioning about, the DV, domestic violence survivors, even for them, they tell me when I go back, the flowers are there to remind me of the intentions they have set. And it
mm,
keeps encouraging them. And then think through, okay, if I have made a mistake, why I shouldn't beat myself up, and then move on. There are always, like when you, especially when you combine nature and mindfulness together, I find that it is very transformative, and it helps you to move forward in life.
beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Very
What
nice.
happens in your space?
Well, as I mentioned, with the first step, what I do, and what I coach my clients, is on being more self-aware, which means when you reflect on yourself, there are a couple of things would happen, right? When we are reflecting ourselves, like, you got to be your authentic self. you can't have a mask and reflect on yourself. So you got to be that authentic person, yeah. And then when you're authentic, like, there are certain parts of us which will not accept us, so but then we have to do with the self acceptance aspect. When you be more self accepting for whoever you are in your world, like, then you have to be more compassionate to yourself. And I think these are the initial aspects will help you feel more at calm rather than agitated. And then when I set boundaries, like, it's not, when I say boundaries, it's not necessarily saying no. No is not just the boundaries. And even to say, like, I would want to do this and be more expressive, like, that is also boundaries. Like, you're expanding your boundaries in the sense, you are able to express yourself more rather than suppressing your emotions or what you have to say. So for me, I think when I look into the they say there are 5 or 6 different love languages. For me, I think communication is very important. That's what I realized. So for me, if I'm able to express myself and the other person is able to communicate well with me without any what how do I say,
Holding
any
back. Yeah.
holding back, I think that would actually lift my energy. That would keep me in the good space. And not going out of your own values. I think these are the things will keep me grounded. And that's what I would tell my clients as well. Like, do the reflection, accept for who you are, have some compassion, because we always beat up ourselves, like, "Oh, I would want to be that, or I did this." Like, self criticism is major in our societal way of conditioning, and also I think culture wise as well. So I tell them, be compassionate. And yeah, and once you have accepted yourself and being compassionate, be grateful for what you're having, and express in the right way, where, as you mentioned, not in the aggressive way, but more in the assertive way, that creates the boundaries, right? Like, I prefer this, I would want to have this, rather than the this is the only thing I want to have, and I'm not concerned about other things. So inclusiveness with the way of assertiveness in terms of communication, I think, that if I'm just being honest with myself and authentic with myself, I think I'm normal. I'm happy in my own way. So yeah, those are
Mm.
the things that sets me right over there.
Mm. Yeah, definitely. Rightly said. I think even when I mentioned about flowers and forest, how they help me gain energy, um, it is not just the lessons, but also the reflections that you make, and accepting yourself, and embracing not just yourself, everybody else around you as they are, and forgiving and letting things go. Lot of things, I think when we even when we approach through nature, it is nature plus inner work. That's a must do combination, nature plus inner work, and that is what leads to growth. And that is what I'm finding, and that is what is energy giving,
Mm,
where it regulates my nervous system and puts my body in ease, and then says, okay, no tiger is chasing you. You are calm, you are regulated, you are not reactive, you are able to observe yourself and what is happening around you, and respond. And that is, that is a constant work which is happening, and it's work in progress.
mm,
But yeah, definitely. Yeah, I
yeah,
think there are so many ways in which, even though the emotions and negativity can be energy draining, there are a lot of emotions which are energy giving.
yeah.
Yeah, like even when you look into this Hawkins vibrational chart, there are emotions like guilt, shame, anger, all those are low vibrational emotions. And there are high vibrational emotions like peace, joy, love, forgiveness, gratitude. All those are in the high end of the emotions.
Absolutely, well
So,
said, Meena. Yeah.
yeah. So I think to balance for all the low vibrational emotions that we face day to day, we have to keep compensating with a lot of positivity as well.
Mm.
With all these positive emotions, feel more positive. And how do you feel more positive is only when you let go of the negativity, the positive can come in. Yeah, and for me, flowers and forest does that all the time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is the energy behind them.
Yes, yes. And there are other aspects as well. What gives us energy, like as you mentioned, like this is what we have touched base today is about the emotional aspects and and the mind level. But there are other external things like from the nature, as you mentioned. We have to deep dive into that aspect as well, like
Maybe
how we
we'll do it as a part two. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So, and what happens in the cellular level, and how nature can actually help us to build more of this, not just in the energy level, but as you mentioned about staying grounded and activating our parasympathetic system, and how is the breath work is actually going to help us regulate on a daily basis. And there are different types of breath works as well. So we can explore all of that in our next segment. But I think today we had a wonderful conversation in the sense of what actually drains us. And I think it would be more relatable for our viewers because this is a practical day-to-day things like comparison, people pleasing, and what are all the things that drains our energy. So that was good. How, yeah.
I'm feeling so energized even by this conversation, Indu.
Because
It
it's so
feels
aligned with what we are doing, right? Yeah, that's
correct.
right.
Correct. Aligned with what we are doing. And also, even though we started with all the drainers that we have faced in the recent few days, even to share that and then letting it go and releasing it, and then, talking about what can give energy has already put me in that positive state. Thanks to
Yeah.
you.
Thanks to you too, Meena. Yeah, that is what you've said is so true. Like reflecting and releasing is very important. Like it's no point in just reflecting and we don't know how to release it.
Yeah.
That's going to keep us again in the stuck mode. So yeah, understanding how we can release it in a more authentic way is very important as well. So great. I love this today's conversation really well. Well done. Kudos to both of us. So
Yeah. Thank you.
cool. All right, viewers, we will come back to you all on the next series, discussing more about what are all the energy giving aspects from the nature, how it's science-backed informations with case studies and things like that. So you all can derive the energy and be more grateful and lead a happy life. Because energy drainers, it's a come and go aspect, but we can always build our energy from nature, from understanding our own self worth, and I think that's the way to keep going. And women. Stop being more giving and also learn how to more receive the love and affection and stay well. Me and Meena will catch you all soon.